We also have background, and he's in Minnesota.
And I'm Robyn Harvey, and I am from DeKalb. That's in Illinois. It's a small town 60 miles west of Chicago, for those of you who aren't aware. We are so excited to have you with us for our webinar today. Hi,
Hi,
Tammy.
Tammy.
Nice to have you back. Let's see who else is here. We have a couple more. All right. Oh, Crystal. Hey, Crystal. I know you.
Hi,
And
Chris.
Dana. Awesome, Dana. Nice
Hi,
to see you
Dana.
again. Dana is a fellow foster parent of mine.
I did not know that. I love Dana. Every time I'm on here, she's in here, and she like says a lot of great things that I agree with and things that I learn from.
Yeah, Dana is a fierce advocate. I've been in some really cool meetings with Dana where she has really keep putting pressure on people. She's really awesome.
Hi, Jennifer. Oh, Dana, all the smiles, all the blushes, all the feels. We do have a great group.
Awesome. All right. Well, welcome again. Today we're going to talk about creating a strategic plan for our holistic vitality. And when we're talking about holistic vitality, we're talking about all the domains working together. We're going to take a look at some of them individually today, but really the emphasis is on us being a whole person and taking a look at how those six really hold each other up, and there's so much overlap. Alexandra and I are going to be your hosts today, and we are so excited to have you here. Most of you are our regulars, so you all know the ways to engage. But for those of you who are new, we're excited to have you along for the ride too. Welcome. If you're not talking, please put your phone on mute. When you're ready to comment, raise your hand and we'll unmute you on our end. And then you're going to need to unmute yourself so we can hear you. Please be patient. Sometimes there's a lot of people on these webinars, and we try to get to as many of you as possible. And the last way to engage is to put any comments into the chat, and then we can read them aloud. This is a great way to get your voice into the room. One thing you do need to remember, though, is to push the down caret on the chat and make sure it says all panelists and attendees. You know, I've been to every webinar this week, and every time I get off the chat screen, because I typically am on my lunch hour on my phone, it reverts back to all panelists. So make sure you do check that box that you're talking to everybody. All right, so we run on agreements. We're going to all speak from our own experiences and tell our own stories in our own voices. We're going to treat each other with respect and the way that we want to be treated ourselves. We'll all use the golden rule. And we're not going to multitask. This is a gift to you from Be Strong Families that we put ourselves out there every day and spend our lunchtime with you. Please give yourself that gift. Sit back, listen, engage, and let's grow together. If you agree, just do what your colleagues are doing and write I agree, so we can assure that this is a safe space for all.
So we're gonna this is us putting it all together. Those of you who've been on this journey with us for the last 2 months, give or take, we have been going through each domain, exploring those, looking at ourselves, learning resources together. So how do we put this all together? We didn't want, I know it sounded so like, oh, formal strategic plan, but I'm somebody that's a proponent of having a personal strategic plan, also a family strategic plan around values. See, we do this with work, and I feel like if we give work that much energy and planning, then why not do it for our families and for ourselves? But at the same time, we know how strategic planning, even though over the years there's been different, shorter, better, more concise models. But usually when you think about a strategic plan, you know, it's something that people do, and it kind of doesn't become a living document unless it's the culture of the organization. So it doesn't have to be taxing with all these objectives and objective A, 1, B, and C. And so, but what makes it really work any type of strategic plan, whether for an organization or for you personally and your family, is having that growth mindset. And I found this really great article that we'll see in another slide that Andrew will put at that time doing it. It kind of has different, you don't have to do it the way that we're doing it, but I do think what's really important, and the article was talking about this as well, is that when you are thinking about any type of plan, that you have the growth mindset under it, right? So I think a lot of people here are already familiar. We've also had workshops on the growth mindset in reference to school. I believe one of our board members, Samantha Peterson, I hosted that website. She talked about it in reference to children and when we were first starting this whole online learning. And so some of just the highlights of it is, of course, that your talents, your efforts, your thoughts, your intelligence, none of that is fixed, right? And that when you embrace the learning process, it actually helps you rewire your brain so that your setbacks and your failures are used as a catalyst to grow and to continue with your plan, which is that each time you miss the mark, you keep trying. And then consistency and stretching yourself beyond the comfort zone, which is why, strategic plans are supposed to be visionary, and they're supposed to be something that's attainable, but something that makes you move beyond what you would normally do so you can actually recreate a new reality or a new way to do programming in the case of an organization, or a new way to change the culture. And so we want to make sure we create our plan and implement the plan until it's perfected, right? Because we all know that adage, and I've heard various, sometimes people say 21 days, but really it takes about 90 days for you to really have something, to break a habit and create a new habit. 3 weeks is good, it'll get you there. But 90 days, if you're like me, sometimes if it's something that's new, I have to I start and stop a lot. Like I really start and stop a lot. And so that's the thing that I like about the growth mindset, that those times when you are stopping, you don't just let that stay there. You say, hey, you know what? I stopped. I'm going to get up and try it again tomorrow. And eventually what'll happen, you'll have less stopping and more continuing and consistency, which is something that happens a lot. I take a lot of lessons from music and hip hop. And so because in another life, I was I still am technically, a poet and a hip hop MC, the whole piece around freestyling where you improv the lyrics, that's exactly what happens. First, it's kind of like, and the more you keep doing it, the more it becomes seamless. And you don't even really have to try for that to happen. All you have to do is say, I'm gonna try again today. And eventually all of those empty spaces between what do you think you should say the next time, they just disappear on their own. And I think that's the same thing with the growth mindset, and the same thing when you're trying to create a habit. Just commit to doing something every day. Next
Alex,
slide.
I'd like to add something here. So I just finished the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he was talking about habit stacking and how much easier it is to build a habit when you're stacking a good habit with a good habit. So most of us brush our teeth every day, right? That's a habit. We learned it when we were a young child. We brush our teeth every day. So if you want to make a habit of washing your face and putting moisturizer on, you do it by stacking that habit on brushing your teeth, because it's an automatic reminder to do it. And by stacking those habits, it becomes second nature. And he does agree with you, 90 days to a good habit.
Oh, that's good to know. So thank you, Robyn. Robyn is an avid reader around just management and team building and self-empowerment. I have gotten so many great resources from her. And Andrew, as always, is on point, and he has it in the chat. So pulled a little bit from this article in the journal, and they quoted from the Journal of Management Research that effective personal strategy means being able to think in multiple time frames, clarifying what one is trying to achieve over time, as well as what needs to be done in a short time to get there. When you look at the article, they're doing it from the perspective of a personal strategic plan, 3 to 5 years. We don't want to make this that complicated. They have different ways to do it, but they had this framework right here, this V2 MOM framework that I thought was so neat and was short, simple, to the point. It was created by Mark Benioff, who is the creator of Salesforce. And we just thought we just thought it was a great way for us to look at how we could do this on our own. And then Robyn, when we were, meeting right before this, came up with another really great point about this framework that I'm going to let her share.
So I love this framework and I love the fact that it lays out our goals. But I have this personality that when things seem like a big deal, I shy away from them. So for me, I would use this framework more in my direct, like decision making. So, we could have this framework. What do I want to achieve? I want to achieve a bikini body by this weekend. Just kidding, because I'm going to the beach. A bikini body in a year. Why is that important to you? And do this work so there is like that foundation. But then I would take it a step further and I would use this more as a reflective model. So what is it I want to achieve? Remind myself, I want this bikini body. Why is it important to me, Robyn? Okay, this is more of a reflection. Is it still important to me? That's a question I think we have to ask ourselves often, because goals aren't concrete. They can morph, they can evolve into different things. Methods, how do I get it? This is my question I ask myself all the time. Is this the next right thing? So is it the next right thing to eat a bag of chips before my webinar? Is that going to get me my bikini body? Obstacles, what's preventing me from being successful? Okay, so lean into that one. Is this the next, that goes back to my right decision. And measures, how will I know if I have it? I think that if we use this as a split second decision model, instead, for me, that like only write it down and don't review it, I think that any model has to have a reflective component to it for it to be successful. It's not like we can write our goals down and just because we wrote them down and put them in a little book, they're magically going to appear. We have to revisit this stuff daily or almost at every decision point if you're really serious about reaching this goal and being strategic.
And so, when I hear Robyn and when I heard her earlier saying that, I thought that was so great, right? So we could take these and we can write it down, but then we can use it in the decision-making process, which is also it being a form of accountability. So it becomes all of those things. And then, of course, you all know that those who've been here, I'm a big fan of having an accountability partner because it's really hard for me to do something on my own if I tend to be a giver. That's one of my things. So if I have to do it for someone else and they're dependent on me, and I'm working on it because it's just so bad. It's like really not self-care, right? But if someone's dependent on me, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to make sure that it happens. And so maybe the idea is once you fill this out for each vitality domain, you share that with your accountability partner, and then they can say, hey, let's talk about this. And then it has that reflection piece. But that thing around, do I really want to get this ice cream and go through the process? I think is so helpful because that's where we fall when we don't question those little bitty decisions that we make every day.
I find that too. And we have some agreement from Denise Marshall. She says same here.
Hi, Denise. So next slide. So we're going to play around with this. We're going to do, each, we're going to do two. Hopefully we'll have time to do two. And we just want to talk about it together around spiritual vitality. You can put it in the chat. You can jump on and talk to us and think about answering the questions around spiritual vitality. Like, what is it that you want to achieve? And so we can kind of start there.
Yeah. So, Alex, are you looking for somebody to give an example and walk all the way through, or many people to give examples?
I think either way, I hadn't really thought about that. We can have, if some brave soul wants to walk all the way through, I think, now you've done that challenge. I kind of want to do it to myself. or if you just want to jump in, but the walking all the way through, I think is really good because it'll kind of give you an idea. Because the other piece that I like about this is the obstacles. Because if you think about the obstacles before, right, for all
Mhm.
my program people, it's kind of like the whole, I think about it like the logic model with the end goal, right, in mind, and then you go back the other way. And if you're thinking about the obstacles, then you can set yourself up for success and say, this is like a weird example, but I'm using your chips again.
Uh-huh.
Like, the chips get locked up at whatever time. So you have to ask your husband to get the chips. So whatever that obstacle
Yep.
is, you can put some things in place to make sure. So Denise started with, what does she want to achieve? She said she wanted to achieve morning meditation.
That's great. That was almost on my mind too. Mine was achieving peace in the morning. And then
Yes.
we have Iris. She wants to lose weight. So, Iris, that appears at the surface level to be a physical domain, but maybe for you it's spiritual. There's a lot of overlap in a lot of the domains, as I was saying before. Denise says morning meditation for peace. So, Denise, why is that important to you? And Iris, if you want to walk through as well, just type why. Let's just answer the questions. Why is it important? Dana wants to find a new church. Why is it
Wow.
important? Think about why that's important to you guys. So we have 3 really great examples. It's a great way to start the day off right. Okay, good. That's why it's important to you. And Iris, it's important for my health and peace of mind. Good. So you did link it to a spiritual level. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. And then methods. How do you get it? So this is kind of like the action plan steps. Like, so think of ways that you're going to get it. What are some things you have to do so you can have morning meditation time for peace, Denise? So you can find a new church. And so Iris can lose a little weight. So Iris says willpower, exercising, changing my mindset. Good. Denise says I'd have to get up at least a half an hour earlier. Denise, I'm an early riser. Typically, I'm up by 5 a.m. But the last couple weeks, I was having some back issues. So I wasn't sleeping well. And so I wasn't getting up until 7. You know what that meant? My morning meditation practice went out the door, which only made me more stressful, which only made my back hurt more, so it was a cycle. And finally, I just said, enough. I have to get up at 5 in the morning. I don't care if my back hurts and I don't care if I didn't sleep, but and it broke the cycle.
Yay. So
Dana said,
Dana,
oh, go ahead,
I,
Alex.
Dana said that I've identified 5 local churches and I'm investigating them to see if they are fit. Once I narrow it to 2, we'll go to the services and see what feels right. And then Denise says, I used to get up, I used to be an early riser pre-COVID and I can't seem to get back into it. And Iris says that her obstacles are weight, health conditions, and pretty much myself in all caps, right? Oh gosh.
Oh, Alex or Iris, that really resonates with me too. Most of the time, I'm my biggest obstacle.
Yeah, I was doing really good. So I'm getting married soon. Now I'm only down to 5 weeks. And like I'm trying to get the rest of my little pouch together. And I was doing really, really good. Same thing, Robyn. I fell off. So I still identify with them myself, but then I've gotten back on and I'm drinking my water and taking my supplements and making sure. And then like today, this morning, my daughter was like, "Mom, your stomach looks a little bit flatter." And I was like, oh. And so that like gave me more motivation. And I think when we had those accountability partners, making sure that they're not just keeping us accountable, but also like, I'm a big fan of celebrating small successes because now I feel energized like, ooh, let me like maybe I need to do 2-a-days. But yeah, so even good changes, marriage can still be stressful. Yes, yes. So agree. Like we planned on writing our vows and I haven't got to it yet because I'm like, oh, what did I say? How do I say it? And it's like actually kind of stressing me out. Hi, Guy. Guy is on there. Heck yeah, small successes day by day. I know. Guy's one of my accountability partners. Iris says little changes mean a lot. Yeah, yeah.
They
Those
do.
repetitive little changes. Um, so what are some of those oh, Denise says good to celebrate. Celebrating is uplifting. how do we remove the obstacles when we're the obstacles? I just wanted to stay there and see whatever was I can learn from someone, and I'll share what I do beyond the accountability partner, right? Because your accountability partner can't be 24 hours a day.
I
So
was going to
we're
say
the
that for you, Alex, and the accountability partner. I think that is a way. If I have a really good accountability partner that I trust, that will hold me to my, my BS and call me out on it without pushing me away or making me run away, that's my best.
oh
Denise said
Denise,
finding rewards for small steps. That's great.
and she sent me a wedding song. I wonder which one that is. We so old, like we decided. I think on For the Love of You, the Isley Brothers. And of course, we were not born in that era, but we're still deciding to though. But so taking accountability and making the change.
Oh, we
Get
got a really
serious about the
long one.
why. That's was Iris.
All right. And then to remove obstacles, I try to create baby steps to achieve it. That's great. Awesome. Running home to you. That's the wedding song. To write that down. And then
Yes.
Tammy says, I'd like to sustain a peaceful, calm feeling throughout my days. This is important because I feel my best when I'm calm. I get this by choosing how I react to things throughout the day by using prayer, meditation, self-care techniques. There are many things that can derail this, so I need to be mindful and check in with myself throughout the day. I need to not allow anyone to steal my peace, which is basically controlling my reactions to people and situations. I know I've achieved this because I feel the peace, will have less tension in my body, and maybe fewer headaches. Sorry
Mm.
it's long, but she just kept typing. That's what she
No,
said.
we love it. We
That's
love
really
it. Thank
great.
you. I love that. And one of the things that she said about the reminders, and I might have shared this before, is like little notes, like the way Robyn, you were saying when you brush your teeth,
Mm-hmm.
just having little notes for yourself,
Yep.
or I create little reminders on my phone, like this is what I'm doing and this is why I'm doing it,
Yep.
to hopefully keep me from and then sometimes I use the old school, I started off in this field as a summer camp person, and that was, not super long ago, but it was in the era when you could still make kids do push-ups. You can't do that now, but I
Right.
do that for myself. Like what I've been doing when I've been trying to break a habit is like, okay, I'm gonna do some squats. Like when I feel the need, if I can, if I feel the need, like, okay, oh my gosh, I want to do something I know I'm not supposed to do, then I'm gonna like try to distract myself, like with 20 squats or 20 push-ups or something to that effect, to like take my mind off of the thing that I know is a bad habit.
One thing that I did is kind of comical, but it was super successful for me. I typically work at home, but COVID made that even more intense because I wasn't traveling. I work at home, and then I typically travel a couple times a month. But now I was stuck at home all the time, and I found myself bored and eating a lot. So I put a note and I stuck it in my refrigerator just with the one word and a question mark. It said, "Really?"
Mm.
And every time I'd open it, I'd laugh. It'd reset my brain and I could go on. My son gained 40 pounds during COVID. My husband gained some weight. I lost 40 pounds in COVID because I
Wow.
was really intentional about staying out of that refrigerator. It's not a substitute for fun or engagement. It's food.
I love the way you put that.
Yeah, it's just, it is what it is. Dana said obstacles are really only time and COVID restrictions. Thankfully, she can do online research now and then, check out the service plans at the two churches once we go. And her deadline, she's got a deadline of June 20th. Can't wait to hear, Dana. And then Andrew said, obstacles. I recognize that within my spiritual life, or with my spiritual life, there are many positive elements that I learned when I was younger, and I treasure those. But at the same time, there are a lot of toxic ideas of spirituality that were imprinted upon me that I'm working through in my own way. These toxic ideas can be very bad for my spiritual vitality if I fall into the mentality that those ideas I'm still working through define my spiritual life and faith. Thanks for sharing that, Andrew.
Definitely. This is so great. We're, of course, as always, time is winding down. So we have another one, just, just so we're practicing together, and learning some techniques from each other. We're going to use the same framework for social vitality. And what do
Awesome.
you want to achieve? And this is really great. Andrew suggested that we add this one because thinking about the COVID restrictions being lifted, right? We've all had to adjust to how we create our social vitality and our support systems and our networks during the pandemic. But now, depending on where you are, a lot of that is easing up. And so just kind of think about it in reference to this summer. Um, I'm gonna start. I really want to. I'm always an advocate of wanting to achieve more time outside. I'd love outside, particularly the beach is my really outside place, but I really love to be outside. And so thinking about what do I want to achieve? I want more sun. I don't want to have to take vitamin D to get my vitamin D. And so the only way to do that is little intervals outside. And so thinking about more activities that I can do outside with my family and how that'll help me create a different kind of social vitality outdoors versus indoors. And Denise says, I really want to schedule fun and relaxing time with my husband. Definitely. Right?
Yeah,
Those
and so
date
I
nights.
have a goal too. I want to achieve that I have a dinner party in June, July, and August. And I
Nice.
want there to be 15 people at each one of those parties. And I want them to be 15 different people at each one of those parties.
Oh, lovely.
That's my summertime goal.
Anyone else want to share in the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
I'll get you my address, Robyn. Okay, guys,
I was thinking the same thing, guy. Like, I don't want to invite myself, but
that's
I'm far,
okay.
so
I've already told my husband I want him to build me a dance floor for the August party. I
nice.
know it's going to be so much fun. I've had a really lonely year. I want to start a neighborhood potluck this summer to continue all year. Great idea, Dana. And Denise says, hubby and I are usually too busy helping family and friends to get out our own time. Yeah. Yep. I hear you. Denise, I've got a lot of kids. That's very true for us. Jennifer Johnson, make friends in a new city. Don't worry, Jennifer, you can come to the party.
Right? And make all the new friends. Oh,
At
this
least
is
one
not
of them. I
just
suggest
that I'm not
August.
there.
All right. Why is this goal important to you guys? I want to see my family and friends. Yeah. How do we get it? What are the steps we need to do? What are the practical things that you need to do? Andrew, I want to socialize with my wife as a married couple. We got married last May and never got to do the whole summer socialization. Gonna have to change that this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a similar goal, like your dinner parties. I want to go on like couple vacations.
Yes.
Like with my friends who are couples, I want to go just different places, just travel. Um, oh, we have a lot going
Yeah,
on.
Jennifer says socializing is a huge distressor for me. Dana
Yes,
offered. I feel that over COVID, I was really aware that we barely speak to the neighbors. Andrew Hitchcock exclaimed, yes. And let's
definitely.
see. Okay, we're all caught up now.
So any obstacles? We don't really cover the methods because I think when you do this for each one, you can kind of go through.
Yeah,
Denise says quality time together will build us up so we can sustain.
right.
Definitely.
And Iris said that one of her obstacles was getting over the fear. She had brain surgery last year and it's been really hard. So she needs to get over her fear of COVID. Yeah, that resonates with me. I didn't have brain surgery, but I'm a little nervous about COVID still, even though I am vaccinated now. All right. And the last one is kind of like the most exciting. When you're reflecting on your strategic plan, how do you know you have it? Like, how do you know you've reached it?
Yeah, and this is where I would create. This is where it becomes really strategic planning, as I make up a word, right? Artistic license, poetic license rather. This is when I would have like weekly, monthly check-ins, right? I'm going to do this in this week. I'm going to do this by the month. And if we're doing it 90 days for each domain, then that'll be the way that I would do it to make sure that I'm measuring. What did I do in this week? Did I go exercise? My goal is to exercise every single day, but my minimum is 3 times a week. And so did I do that this week? And if I didn't do it, then I really, haven't reached my goal. It's not at 100%. Um, Dana says, I brought an outdoor movie projector. Nice. So I'm going to start with the neighbors and popcorn and cotton candy night. My goal is that once a month we get together as neighbors. Perfect. Oh, it is 6:29. Okay, next slide.
One thing I want to say, I just want to go back to that James Clear book really quick, because in Atomic Habits, they say something that's so relevant to this. They say, you don't rise to your level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And this is a great system to keep you rising. So I think that it's important that we have frameworks. I'm so excited that we talked about this today, Alex.
I am too. And I want to get these last ones. Dana says she loves the ideas. And I know I've achieved the goal when we're making time for ourselves, and it isn't hard to get on the calendar and it doesn't get rescheduled. This is what we're doing. Tomorrow is the holistic vitality. And then next week is a whole series on decolonization for well-being. So please make sure you come and check that out. Ahmad does very great webinars. He's been a reoccurring guest on our webinars. Next slide, please. And replenish through the domains of vitality, Vitality Cafe in the Box, the Grief Compass, which is navigating trauma and loss. It's a booster pack for the Vitality Cafe, and join the Journey to Vitality posters. Please support us in any way so we can continue to bring this free content to you. And
Alex, can I do one little thing?
Sure.
For all of you in Illinois, I see a lot of my fellow foster parents on this webinar today. You really need to get a hold of me so we can get together in a cafe. I would love to spend a couple hours with you and share experiences again. So Robyn at bestrongfamilies.net, hit me up so we can get you into a cafe together. Super nice to see you.
Awesome. Strategic planning for this weekend. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, everyone.